Hello everyone, Jeff with the Green Review. When planning the flower bed, we have two sets of needs to consider. There's the artistic side and the environmental side. Consider how the flower bed fits into the rest of the landscape plan that we discuss in other videos. Is this a focal point, a backdrop, or does it screen bad views? Is the bed to be only used for flowers, or can it have fruits and vegetables? What color scheme fits in with the house and the rest of the landscape? Each flower bed can have a separate color scheme. The more natural the bed style, the wider the color scheme can be. What flower bed style works best for you? The red, orange, and blue-purple color ranges work very well near each other. The reds are hot and visually move forward, while the blues are cool and recede from view. A flower bed with reds near the viewer and blues farther away will appear longer. And if the flowers are switched and the blues are closer, then the flower bed will appear shorter. Don't forget to accessorize the garden with colorful items. This pink and purple birdhouse matches the color of many flowers, and wrens have even nested in it. One of the fun things about using herbaceous flowers in the landscape is we can mix all of the plant types. We can mix annuals, biennials, and perennials in the same flower pot or same bed. There might be vegetables, bulbs, hardy and warm-loving plants, and all in the same flower bed, same pot, or in pots near each other. All we have to do is be careful to keep the watering, soil, and sunlight requirements the same for each bed or pot if we're going to use those. So what's this mean to me? The only plants that we really need to be concerned about long-term in a flower bed are the biennials and herbaceous perennials. We want them to thrive, and so we must be more careful about getting all of their plant needs matched with the right plant to environment balance. All of the other plants are only going to grow in that spot for one summer, and we can try them again in a new spot next year and switch out and put different things in. Depending on where you are from, you may call it a flower bed, flower border, or flower island. But in the end, this group of plants is dominated by herbaceous plants. A flower bed can usually be walked around. You might be able to see over it or see through it. It can have a backbone of a low fence, a split rail fence, or shrubs. It might have a solid center of tall plants or a fence. Flower borders tend to be designed to be viewed from one side. The back of the border may be lined up against a wall of shrubs or evergreens, or a man-made obstacle like a building or a fence. Beds and borders may be formal or informal. If the house is symmetrical, a formal flower arrangement can look good. Just like in other parts of the landscape, artistic design principles apply. There may need to be a focal point that can be made of flowers or an object like a sculpture, water feature, or a bird bath. Individual flower and plant forms, textures, colors, and fragrances need to be considered. Artistic arrangements of forms, textures, colors, contrasts, and repeating patterns need to be considered as well. Viewing distances and the speed of the viewer will have an effect on how well the plants can be seen. A flower bed that is walked in can have individual plants as specimens that are noticed. If the view is a long distance from the house or seen briefly from the car or street, larger masses of plants need to be grouped for any effect to be seen. Two opposing colors may make an area more noticeable. Repeating plant groups move the eye through the whole bed. Here are two views of the same flower bed in different seasons. A variety of plants blooming at different times make it more enjoyable to walk around. The cottage garden style is constantly in bloom with an informal scattering of herbaceous plants and can include a shrub or ornamental tree here and there. This cottage garden uses the whole side yard, making it a pleasant place to spend the day and not just something to mow. Low maintenance native plant beds and borders are being used more often in commercial settings where more formal plantings of annuals are hard to maintain. Native plants make sense in several ways. They are adapted to the local climate, and so they will need less maintenance. They may use less water after the first few years it takes to become established. However, they will grow no better than non-native plants and be stuck in the survive range if they're not planted in the proper growing conditions. If planted in a shallow soil without much organic matter, native plants will need the same extra care that non-native plants would need in that same situation. Native plants attract and support native birds, insects, and mammals, thus helping the local ecosystem more than non-native plants. Perennial plantings do not necessarily have to have pretty flowers. They can be grasses and sedges that have flowers that may not be noticeable. Grassy meadows can take the place of large mowed areas and can grow in wet mesic soils that are sometimes hard to mow because of too much water. The mixed border has a structure of shrubs and trees that give a backdrop to a wide variety of flowers and ornamental grasses. If you have a lot of trees, you can have a woodland garden. Many native woodland plants are easy to take care of, but they may only be above ground during the spring, leaving large areas empty or in need of ground cover later in the summer. Because open woodlands are deer habitat, the plants in the woodland garden may need to be specifically chosen due to their resistance to deer, or they may need to be sprayed with deer repellent on a regular basis. Theme gardens can be built around just about anything you can think of. Butterflies and hummingbird gardens are common. A cut flower garden, a single color themed garden, a hobbit or movie themed garden, a nautical garden, night blooming garden, ornamental grass garden, rock garden, sculpture garden, single species gardens such as daylilies, hosta, iris, peonies, train garden, and so on. There's so many different possible theme gardens. So what's this mean to me? Even though some gardeners are going to have a style or theme for their garden, that doesn't mean you have to have one. You can go for I saw it at the store and it looked pretty and I bought it and stuck it in the ground look. That's okay as long as you look for the plant on the plant tag and you put the plant in the proper environment so that it can thrive. Since mowing a lawn is often seen as a waste of time and energy, you can put lower maintenance perennials in parts of the property that don't need a lawn. Side yards and around trees are good places to start. The perennials and annuals planted in these areas can then be used as cut flowers or for vases indoors. This side yard between the driveway and lot line has been turned into a flower bed. It has spring wildflowers and bulbs blooming in March, and it continues until the last flowers that finish around Thanksgiving. In order to protect the oak trees on this property from lawnmowers and string trimmers, mulched flower beds were installed. The spring bulbs are followed by shade-loving hostas. Notice that the mulch does not pile up on the tree trunks, and you can still see the roots flaring out at the base of the trees. And this is Jeff with a Greener View. Thanks for watching.